If you own or are working on or restoring a 73 to 79 Ford or 67 to 72 Ford truck, then you are probably well aware of the cost of a rust-free bed. Guys out there are asking like thousands of dollars for these beds, which they should be because they're very rare and hard to come by, that are actually in good shape and rust-free. Well, I don't have thousands of dollars, but I do have a truck with a big rusty bed on it, a very rusty bed. And I'm going to show you how you can fix that without buying expensive patch panels and without having to spend thousands of dollars on a good bed. See, it turns out that 67 all the way through 1995, 1996 Ford truck beds are pretty much the same, at least the important parts. And they are much, much cheaper. I bought this bed, I don't know, a couple months ago, and it was $300. Now, obviously, the outside skin is completely different on these fenders. And this one's all rotted out on the fenders anyways. However, the floor, the inside panels, the inside bedsides, and the front panel are all almost identical to 67 to 79 Ford trucks. Instead of spending thousands of dollars on a good dent side or bump side bed, you can just buy a cheap 80 to 96 bed and swap the fenders over. This does require a welder, it does require a grinder, and it does require a drill. But chances are, man, if you're working on one of these old trucks, you probably got all that stuff anyways. But I'm gonna show you the truck I'm working on or have been working on, and then I'm gonna show you doing the fender. All right, if you watched any of the other videos I have, then you've seen this truck in the background. It is a 79 Ford short bed, which is what makes this worth doing in the first place. And the bed floor is completely gone in it. It's actually not too bad. I mean, it's rusted all through right there, but it's really gone up here. And these are extremely beat up, the inside bed, inner fenders and bed sides. Now, obviously, there's something missing here. I've clearly already cut this side off. Already did the passenger side on this. Swapped them over. I still have a little bit of finish work to do. I got the fender as straight as I could. It's on there. It's part of that. Is from a 1995 truck, and it basically goes right on. Very little modification to actually do. It's not lightweight work. I'm not saying this isn't a lot of work. It is a ton of work to do this. And it's going to take me a long time to make this video. Probably like, I don't even know, at least a few weeks. But I'll be saving a ton of money and not a ton of time, but a ton of money just swapping these outside fenders. Now, obviously, this only works if your outside fender skin is good. These have already been patched. They were rusted out right here, but already got them patched up. There is plenty of dents and dings, but that's okay because when we get this fender skin cut off, it'll be way, way easier to get all those out. Still time consuming, but easier to get those out while we have the outside fender skin separated from the inside fender skin. So this is going to be a long video, or at least a lot for me work-wise. But first thing we're going to do is get that cut off. I'm going to take this floor up too at the same time, get everything off the back of this truck, then cut this fender skin off, and then we'll go from there, getting the old one straightened out and making a few small modifications here and there to make it actually bolt up or weld up to this 1995 bed floor. I haven't dug too much into it, but I'm pretty sure that chirping noise is coming from the bearing in our alternator. All right, time jump. It's nighttime now. I'm gonna get to cutting off this fender off this truck. I'm gonna go ahead and take out the tail light. And I can't remember. I think I just cut the wiring on the other one, on the other side. Yeah, I just cut the wiring. I'm gonna make new wiring for it. It'll be all right. I'll cut the inner fender along with the outside fender and then separate them when they're off. There's a lot of spot welds along here. It takes a while to do all that. And then I'm going to grind off all these bolt heads since I'm sure that they're not gonna wanna come off on the bottom side and get this whole floor up. I'm gonna time lapse this whole thing for you. You don't need to watch every little step of this. I'm just gonna slice it, man. I'm just gonna cut it off. All right, let's get to it. If you've ever wondered if the cordless Warrior jigsaw is worth the money, it is not. Freaking sucks. Don't buy it. Before I go any further, just know that this truck isn't going to be a restoration. I'm just like fixing it up. All right, I am going to sell it when I'm done with it, but mostly just saving a truck from rusting into the ground. I already have a 78 out there that I'm going to keep. It's my forever truck. This one, however, I'm just getting it back on the road pretty much. I don't think I'm going to paint it, but I am going to fix most of the rust and maybe just over a few parts. Anyways, let's look at what I'm working with now that the bed's off. So here we go. See, the frame itself is pretty solid. Not really much rust anywhere. We have a few big whammies on the back of the cab right here that I'm gonna take care of before that bed goes back on this truck. I'm not even sure how I'm gonna do that. I might end up having to buy one of those stud welder puller things body shop guys have. Otherwise, I need to cut out the sheet metal from the inside and maybe bang it out from the inside. I'm not really sure, but I am going to get it better. And actually, there's even a little hole right there that goes into the cab, I think, just barely. But I'm going to make it better at least. I'm not just going to smooth over it with Bondo. It will probably get some filler at the end, but not a whole bunch. Back of the cab. Corner looks all right, solid. Looks like we got a pinion seal leak. Helper springs, I'll probably take those out. They're not factory. This thing's gonna get all new brake lines, all new brake everything. Anything that fluid goes through is gonna get new. Probably except for the hard lines, as long as they don't start leaking. to go from the front to the back, but everything else, wheel cylinders, master cylinder, etc., all that's going to get replaced. The exhaust doesn't look terrible, but it does have a leak up at the front. Oh, look. The truck gave me a Ninja Turtle weapon, apparently. I don't know what this is. Yeah. All right. So next, what do I do next? I can clean up the rest of the bolts off of this. I can start splitting that apart. I'm thinking I'm going to save that for tomorrow. I might start cutting the side off of that bed, getting that ready. And then at some point, I'm going to sweep this floor. All right, before I cut the bed side off this newer bed, I'm going to show you the differences between the two beds. Okay, so on the beds, what is different is this piece right here. This is the front panel that goes up against the cab. This piece, it connects the outer fender skin to your back panel of your bed. Now, whenever you get a fender, let's say you buy a fender from LMC or MPD or whatever you get your stuff from, you get a brand new fender. This is part of it, all right? It comes on it. I'm like 99% sure it comes on it. Now, depending on how rotted out your fender is, like ours is rotted out. See down here? I'm actually probably gonna have to do some repair work right here on this this lip. See, this panel is quite clearly a whole different shape. It's made to fit the contour of the outside skin. Here's the back panel of the truck that we just cut off the little piece of it. So we can't use this, and we can't use this. This doesn't match. The contour is not even close to the same as the contour of that one. So what we're gonna end up doing on this one is drilling out all the spot welds and removing this panel. And then we gotta do the same thing on this one, only on this one, we can't tear this edge up, otherwise it's not gonna look good. So we actually gotta remove this from the back side. I'll show you how to do that. It's a long, tedious process. It sucks. Now, you can see on this side where I've already done it, and I've made some new panels, all right? I split it up into two because I don't have a lot of fancy metalworking tools in here to make some stuff. I just put a brake on here, put some spot welds, weld it. Whenever this is all done and sprayed, it'll look fine. Whenever I took the other side off of the original bed, all these little gaps, there was like a big one right here, a big one right here, they're all filled up with seam sealer and just painted over. So I'm not too worried about that. I may make another little filler panel for this one because it's kind of big, but yeah, we'll see whenever I get there. But I still got to take out the screw that was holding this panel and do some more finish work. I just like lightly ground down these welds, but it'll be fine. I'm gonna do the same thing without that side right there. I'm gonna make two panels just like that. I kept my, or at least I hope that I kept my templates, but I'll make it close to as looking the same as possible. Now on the back side, I'm sorry, the lighting's not great. I put a flashlight on the ceiling up there. This last post and this piece are completely different from the original bed. All right, so this is the post from the other side, okay? So you got the post, but this inner panel is all one piece. This and this are all the same pieces. And so it's the cross member spot welded is that one. However, on this newer bed, on this 95 bed, this post and this piece are two separate pieces that are welded together. And you can't really see from that side, but trust me, they're this piece and this piece are separate. They're not the same like this one is. This is all one big stamp piece. You wouldn't think that this is gonna work with the new fender, but it definitely does. The only part that won't is this small corner right here. The old style fender swoops in like a lot sharper, a lot more of a big rounded corner than this straight flat thing. So I gotta just cut the edge off of that. That is what I did on, that's what I did on this side. You see a extremely poor fit up there. That's all right. I'll probably make a filler panel or something for it at the end. It is not perfect at all, okay? You got a big gap right here. However, it sits down where it's supposed to sit, okay? You can see the back side of the welds where I welded it on the inside. I actually made a panel you'll see on the, whenever I do this one. These should work, these hinges. We just have to modify. This is a test, my test tailgate. And I'll probably end up getting a new one, but we just got to modify it to accept this style. You basically just cut a slot in it and whatever in the tailgate. It'll fit. Like I said, this is not a restoration. We're getting the truck back on the road. It's gonna look fine at the end. It'll be okay. For now, what I'm gonna do is cut out the majority of the sheet metal. I'm gonna get to cutting the fender off. Got the whole side cut off. Now all I have left is little strips to get out. But like I said before, a lot of spot welds that I gotta drill. I think while I'm on a roll with the cutoff wheel, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut out the inner fender off the outer fender skin. You can see. All right, so well on our way. Let's cut a nice straight line down here. And it leaves you a little piece of sheet metal in here at the spot welded to this edge. We'll get that afterwards when we drill out all the spot welds. The front isn't a big deal. I just cut it right up to this, and again, afterwards, we'll go and do the spot welds for the backside. It's a little bit tricky around the stake hole here. It's got this inner plate. I like tried to cut around it. I don't know. I figured it out. It all came with it. Now, the taillight housing, taillight bucket, taillight hole, whatever this is called. This piece is part of the outer fender skin. It wraps around in. I know the fender's sideways. It's hard to tell what I'm even looking at here, but and it's spot welded. And there's like freaking 10 spot welds for some reason, and that's what welds it to the inner fender skin. This piece isn't gonna work on that bed. So I'm just gonna cut it straight off here, and it'll make it 1,000 times easier anyways to get this out. So, and in the end, we'll end up making another piece that goes in here, and we'll weld it to this lip. That's what I did on that one, and it'll work out good. All right, so last night, getting this last little bit off this inner fender kind of fought me, but now I've got all the major chunks of sheet metal torn off the new bed and the old fender. Tonight, I'm gonna finish that process by drilling out all the spot welds and getting the very last bit of metal off this inside lip without tearing up the outside edge of the sheet metal. For now, I'm actually going to put this fuel tank in this frame. This fuel tank's been taking up space in the shop. over there besides those doors for months now. But now that I've got all this space, I'm gonna go ahead and actually install this and hook up the fuel line so I don't have to run it off a gas can under the hood anymore. All right, tighten the bolts down now that I got them all started. I didn't record the whole process of me struggling to get these bolts in. But it was a challenge. Get some hose clamps off my hose clamp rack. This will probably work. All right, there we go. Fuel tank done. All right, now I'm going to finally start on the metal work on this, like I said I was going to. I'm going to cut off this extra little stuff that's on here. Stuff like this. That big chunk way over there. Then I'm going to start working on breaking these spot welds free. What I'm going to try is going from the back side with like a hard grinding disc. All going to come off. We'll see how it goes. Drilling spot welds. So you can get for the fender skin to get off, and then I have 500 of them right there on that side. Alright, so instead of drilling all the spot welds out, I went in, cut the metal off as close to the edge as I could, and then just sliced in between them with the cutoff wheel. That seemed to work pretty good. I don't know why I didn't think of doing that before. So we pretty much got all the metal off, except for there's a little lip right here. So finally, after 3 days of grinding and drilling spot welds and cutting, I have the entire fender skin off of this fender. I have that fender cut off with all the inner fender structure cut out of it. And so we're just about ready to fit it on here. Now, the inner fender well here, this obviously it's seen better days. I'm not gonna fix this completely. This isn't what this truck is, all right? I'm just kind of getting the truck functional again. This lip over here is pretty solid-ish. And honestly, I don't think this actually will reach the fender well. I didn't even look on the other side that I already did, how it landed. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this out nice and square and put a patch in there if I can. Maybe not, I don't even know. It's real pitted. At minimum, I'm gonna cut it out and at least make it look decent, like a square or circle or something. Same thing with this. I'm gonna whoop and just make it nice and straight and cut it off. And then when we get the fender on there, we'll figure it out afterwards. This lip is just completely gone. I tried to grind away what was left of the actual fender lip that wraps around this, and it just disintegrated. So this side's pretty good, but yeah, I'll worry about that. I'm gonna do this first real quick, and then I'm just gonna clean up this real quick, and then we'll fit the fender on there. All right, now all I gotta do to put the fender skin on is cut the edge of this inner structure off, just like I did over there. I cut too much off of that side, so We'll cut just a little bit, and I think a little bit of this corner piece right here, and it should fit on. Alright, I'm really close. This fender lip won't jump over. You can't really see it in this lighting. It won't quite get over this inside piece. It's because it won't come back quite far enough. I remember now that I needed to, this lip, I need to kind of smash it backwards just a little bit to get this to all sit right, you'll see. All right, fender's on there. I had to do a little bit more trimming down here on this edge. I got it better than the other side. I'm sorry, it's dark, you can't see anything. But just trust me, it's better than the other side. So that all fits on there. The light shining through that window over there, making all these dents very evident that aren't fixed very good. Now on this front piece, like over there, I need to make some filler panels. I don't really, this side's hanging really inwards, this side. I believe it's supposed to be like out like that, but I'm gonna measure the other truck out there from corner to corner underneath the bed, from that corner to that corner, and see the distance and go from there. All right, took my measurements and off the other truck, and it looks like I screwed up in between the fender lip to fender lip on the bottom side. It's 67.5 inches on that bed, and that bed's never been taken apart. I know it's correct. And it looks like on this bed, on the side I've already done, I put these filler pieces in to mount the fender side to that. Unfortunately, it looks like I made them way too big and it's kicked out that way, because like this is right now with that welded on and this one all the way pushed in, I'm at like 69 or something like that, 68 and some change. So basically what I'm saying is I didn't need those filler pieces at all, because the way that this one fits up, I can almost weld that. Spot weld here, spot welds up here, spot welds up to about right here, and it would hold, and a couple right here, and it would be just fine. I just run some self-tapping screws to draw it up tight. This one is fitting correctly like this, just sitting loose. That one is not right, so I'm gonna have to undo all this work that I've done already. Luckily, the metal that I used on this was only 22 gauge, so it's like super thin. Okay, after measuring the truck at 67.5 inches from inner fender lip to inner fender lip, I realized that this was like way too wide, and it's because of these filler pieces that I made. And also this passenger side fender is like, was all bowed out and warped up because it was like super smashed right here on the top, right there. It's like all crushed in, so it took me a lot to get it even semi-straight to go back on here. I cut off my previous work, all right? Don't worry about those filler panels I've been talking about the whole video. I know, I'm like doing this for the first time, so. All right, so what I've done is I taped them together to pull them together at first. From inside edge to inside edge, like I said, 67.5. From this lip right here on the new bed to the outside edge, 7 3/4, both sides, and got them clamped down. I'm probably gonna, I don't know, drill something or make some marks to line it back up. I'm not gonna worry about breaking all these spot welds loose. All this is hidden behind the cab, so whenever I smooth it all out and stuff, it'll be all right. I'm probably gonna make some pieces to go in behind there and booger weld it all up so it'll be hidden. Same thing on that side. But so that's that. Now, unfortunately, the back side, even though it fits great, seems like it fits like it's supposed to. Inside lip to inside lip is also 67.5 inches. Well, I'm sure you can guess that is actually not right up here. Problem is up here is we can't move. It can't be adjusted in or out. You got this post and this, and you have these inner pieces. So what I'm going to end up doing is trimming the tailgate down a little bit. This tailgate I don't care about, it's junk anyways. There's enough that I could probably skim off a 1/4 inch off each side, which maybe might work. I did a trial test fit on there, and it just barely doesn't fit. And the gaps are going to be a little tight. This is all just experimental. I've never done this before. I just knew that they were very, 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 very similar beds, and I'm sure that it could have been done. So, but look, it's getting there. That was a big milestone. First ever welds on the YouTube channel. I decided to just go and throw a tack on that one so it'll stay in place. On this side, on the side we just did, I need to clean up all the metal before I go tacking anything. Drill all my holes along that edge for spot welds, and make sure the back's gonna fit, or at least try to get it to fit as best I can before I go locking anything in. Okay, it's been like a week or 2 weeks or something. I don't know. It's a Saturday now. It's middle of November and it's like 75 degrees out for some reason. So I got all the metal cleaned up on the inside of the fender. I'm not going to get too carried away here because it's like pitted and it's got rust. This isn't a show truck, so it's whatever. But I am going to go ahead and hit a little bit of primer and just a little bit of whatever color paint I got in here, to just put something in there. I'll put some weld through primer on the inside edges of everything, and then we'll get this fit on there and get the tailgate on. All right, so here's our mock-up tailgate. Obviously we're not going to use this, even for this truck. It's way too far gone, but it's got different style hinges. Okay, the 95 bed has the slot style, where you can actually easily remove the tailgate. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The original ones just had round pegs on each side, and you had to actually unbolt the hinge. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the slot. You just cut it right here on the bottom, like right here. And it should work. Then I'm gonna fit it up and work on the latches, because the latches are completely different on the old style bed and the new style bed. The new style bed had like a peg. So I gotta finagle the latch strikers onto this post, but first step is just get it fitting with the hinges. All right, let's see what we got. There's a lot of play in this piece. I think there's supposed to be like maybe a plastic insert in there or something. We're low. This body line's not matching up with that. We're maybe less than ½ an inch low. That's fine, we can work with that. And obviously we're hitting right here, like just barely, like this squeezes in up here. So I am definitely going to trim the tailgate to fit this. Same thing on this side, because the tailgate isn't even rolled over or anything right there on the edge. It's literally just the sheet metal ends. So I don't see any reason why I can't trim that down to make this work. Yeah, I'll trim down the edges and then go from there. Oh, also on the other side, on the pasture side over there, our latch wasn't playing nicely with the fender. It was just barely kissing it, so might have to work on that. All right, here's the edge of the tailgate. I think I'm gonna take off down to this other lip. It's not even, but I'm not too worried about it. Also gotta cut off this little bit of a raised area right here. I'm just gonna zoom down this whole thing on both sides to get this thing fitting. We'll do the actual tailgate later on whenever I buy a good tailgate for this thing. We'll do it a lot nicer. So. All right, a few things that are fighting me. So the hinge down here, you can see where all this open space is, and that's how much slop this thing has. It needs to be a lot tighter than that. This 95 hinge is obviously a different design or whatever. I'm gonna see if I can like throw a sleeve in this thing that fits better on this. I got some tubing, so we'll see how that goes. Then it needs to be adjusted up. I believe I can undo these bolts a little bit, and it's got some play in it. If not, I'll drill some new holes and I can move it up or do whatever I gotta do to get the top lined up. But whenever I pull up on it, it does line up good, and this is now just barely squeaking by. I'll probably have to fine tune that some more or whatever, but I think this will work. This side, this hinge is completely blown out. I know I cut it away, but I probably didn't even need to because so much of it's rusted off. So whatever, I'm gonna keep working on it. And at some point I'm gonna throw the other side on there after the paint dries on the inside of that fender. Ta-da! Here is a 1995 bed with 79 Ford fenders, tailgate. Everything's on there. I was able to get the tailgate fitted up. It's just barely hanging on in there. It's all wonky. That side's hanging down. This side's up, but I was able to get everything to go. If you pull up on the side, the bottom of the tailgate's rotted off, but if you pull up on it, it has a decent gap. It's a little tight, but whatever. We'll call it good. This side's a little bit more open when you pull it up, but and when you pull up the other side, that tightens up and it's high enough. What I've done is I went ahead and decided to order the fender side of the hinge to match the tailgate, so there's not this big huge gap in here. When that comes in, I'll go ahead and install it and slot the holes to move it up or down a little bit more and to get that all lined up. And now all I gotta do is burn in this whole tailgate, all the spot welds. I am gonna make a piece for right here to attach to right here. I did that over here on this side. See that? That worked out pretty good. I think what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, I'm almost out of welding gas, but I'm just gonna burn through what the rest that I have and get this fender actually attached to the bed. Right now it's just clamped. And then maybe I can start getting this thing back onto the truck. Put it in here, weld this edge, weld that edge, spot weld to the inner structure. Then this back is locked in. I know you couldn't see much. That's how it is. Those welds are, they're not as good as the welds on the other side, but they'll hold. They had some penetration on this side, so it'd be all right. That already looks like a million times better just in primer. While the primer's setting up, I'm gonna go ahead and do just a little bit of welding on the inside edges where I wasn't quite happy with it. There's a few like rips in the middle. There's a line right there I gotta weld up. So I'm gonna do that, and then by the time I'm done with that, I'm sure this primer will be set up and I can spray it and then prime those edges and spray those edges. And then the next step will be getting the bed on the truck. I do have a few more things I got to do. Figure out the inner fender well, the support braces. I think I'm just going to cut out the inner fender wells. That seems like the best route to go there. And then, yeah, get it back on the truck. I ordered this color match paint online. That is it's Ford 6P cream. It's what the truck's color is, so it's close enough. I'm at the point now where I'm gonna get the bed back on the truck. Well, not back on the truck. I built it off the truck. I cut the old bed off. There's nobody else here to help me, and I know I could get people from work, blah, blah, but just don't do what I do, and I'm gonna just manhandle this short bed onto the back of this truck somehow. Having trouble deciding whether it would be better to go over the side or go up from the back. The back is higher, but I think it might be easier not to screw anything up while I'm doing this alone. Gonna go ahead and get the bumper out of the way. All right, got it on there. It actually wasn't too bad. Sits on there pretty good. It does need to be shimmed up, but that's pretty normal. There was shims underneath the factory bed too. My other truck out there needed to be shimmed. And I know you saw that fender crunch hit the tire, but it's okay. It's just cracked out a little body filler that was in there. Let's do a few tack welds. All right, so I'm in the final push of installing this bed on this truck. I'm gonna go ahead and catch you up to speed now. The tailgate, I'm gonna save you guys the footage of me trying to get this thing on here. I do have it on here. What I ended up having to do is use the 73, 79 style hinges, and I modified them, trimmed them up, slid them upwards until everything lined up. The latch, this is the original latch off the original bed. I flipped it around and trimmed a 1/4 inch off of it. It's spaced off of there to make it actually line up, because this last post here and this piece are different from the original bed. Whatever, it's on here. These latches didn't want to let go, so I actually shortened I shortened the rod length from here to the handle, and now it pulls the latch enough. So now it'll close. The gaps are okay. They're not super terrible. They're not super great. That side's a little bit tighter than this side, but it moves around. It's got a lot of play in it. Not a lot of play in it. It has some play in it because this bed is super rotted out. Or I'm sorry, because this tailgate is super rotted out. I am not going to use this tailgate. I will be getting a new one or a better one, whatever. The bed bolts. These back two bolts lined wherever it is. It's underneath this. The bed bolts, the back bed bolts lined up perfectly. There's nothing I had to do. The middle bed bolts did not. The holes in this bed floor were offset. You can even see that. The holes are offset. I had to drill new holes for those. The front, same thing. They're offset. And I don't know if it's just how I've got it lined up. This one, I drilled a new hole and it dropped in just fine. That one though, over there, it's real close to the edge of the frame rail, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get a nut on that one. We'll see when I get underneath there. Maybe I'll have to trim down a nut to be able to get in there. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with that, because every other bolt lines up fine except for that one. I don't know if the frame rail on the old truck swings in just a little bit more on that side. I don't know, but right now what I plan on doing is bolting this bed down. The bed needs to be shimmed up like 1/2 inch, so I got a few spacers that I found. I'm gonna go ahead and shim it up, and then I'm gonna call this good for now. I'm gonna spray a little bit of paint on the bare metal where I welded it, and then rehook up the fuel system and drive it out. See, I got these solid spacers. I don't even know what these are from, but I think they'll be about the right height for what we need. Pretty close. All right, I got the bed bolted down, aside from that one bolt that I don't know what I'm gonna do with. I'll figure that out later. I got the filler neck put in. I got the back bumper put on. I think I'm gonna throw the lights back in and spray a little bit of paint on there. hook up the fuel in the front, and I'm gonna drive this truck out today. Just putting a little something on there so it doesn't like immediately rust whenever I put it outside. But I am gonna kind of sand that down and make it smoother. I'll probably put a little bit of filler on it in the end. This thing's been running off of a tiny gas can under the hood here the whole time I've owned it. So this is a big day. Got it. Woo. That sucked. All right, let's see if this thing will fire up and live off of its gas tank fuel. I'm Buddy, this is Shop Next Door. Thanks for watching.